there, this is Sherry Hayes with MomDelights.com, and today we're going to be talking about Charlotte Mason and habit forming. Hope you like it. So when we're talking about habit, it's something that's very important to homeschoolers because most of us associate with home with being relaxed, letting your hair down, let it all hang out, And sometimes all of those things are terrific and wonderful as compared to all of the outside things that are put on kids in public schooling, like the nervousness of having to be there on time, having to meet all these deadlines and things that aren't necessarily important. Okay, but there has to be a balance because our kids are still going to have to function as human beings in this life wherever they go. They need some sort of understanding of how to make good decisions, of how to govern themselves, okay? And I know we like to think that we could wear jammies until midnight and go to bed and wake up in the same jammies. That's like homeschoolers say, oh, this homeschooling is so wonderful, we can wear our jammies all day. Well, yeah, but I'm thinking, where's the teeth brushing? And there are certain things that you still have to do as homeschoolers. Well, enough on that. People have been asking me actually to do this video to talk about how to train your kids in good habits. Well, they talked about specifically Charlotte Mason's idea of habit, and Charlotte Mason's idea of habit was like sort of a moral value. It wasn't just about getting good routines and all this kind of stuff, but it was dealing with the self that we have inside of us that tends towards laziness, that tends toward, like I said, not taking care of yourself and not caring whether what you do affects other people. So Charlotte Mason would definitely not agree with a lot of the things we do these days. So here's a few quotes of how she viewed the idea of habit. And she says this: perhaps it is not too much to say that 99 out of 100 lost lives lie at the door of parents who took no pains to deliver them from sloth, from sensual appetites, from willfulness, no pains to fortify them with the habits of a good life. So, sloth is laziness. Sensual appetites, we would say whatever you feel like doing, do it. Whatever you want to eat, eat it. Wherever you want to go, whatever thing you want to do, just do that. Okay, and willfulness means I don't have to do what you say. The idea that we can have a society without rules or laws. Okay, now this is something else she said. Here's another quote: sow a habit, reap a character, but we must go a step further back. We must sow the idea or notion which makes the act worthwhile. So that's really good to remember when we're talking about teaching your child. Habit means explaining why this is good for them. Now, of course, reading Proverbs and the Gospels and everything gives you lots of really, really wonderful reasons that God just really appreciates people who are self-controlled. And that's one of the fruits of the Spirit, is self-control. However, also we need to take real-life examples and put them before them and give them real-life scenarios, such as, what if mommy woke up every day and she never brushed her teeth and she never combed her hair, she never washed her face, and she didn't clean the house and she didn't make the meals, she just did whatever she wanted. If she wanted to be on Instagram all day and you said, I'm hungry, and she said, oh, I don't feel like cooking for you right now. And then he said, Mommy, you stink. Well, so what? Get over it. You should be tolerant of me. And things like that. So just give them, and they say, oh, Mom, that would be horrible. I said, well, the reason why you don't have to say that is because Mommy gets up in the morning, even if she doesn't feel like it, and I wash my face, and I brush my teeth, and I comb my hair. Why? Because I want to be selfish? No, because I want you to feel comfortable being around me. When you smell me, I want you to smell some nice perfume. I want you to smell how clean I am so that you feel comfortable when I hug you. Stuff like that. And what if Daddy, he just went to work, here's the joke I always make. So then my kids will be walking around and they'll have hair, and I'll say, why haven't you combed your hair today? I couldn't find a comb. I said, well, that's the way we should do it. When pastor stands up to give a sermon at church, his hair's all fuzzy and everybody says, why is your hair not combed? I couldn't find a comb this morning. It doesn't work that way. So, giving them real life examples really helps them to understand the significance of these things and paint it as it's not about trying to look good. It's about caring about what other people, how comfortable you make them. The definition of a gentleman or a lady is that they make others around them feel comfortable. That's a good one to think about. Okay, now I just want to tell you that I love lots and lots about what Charlotte Mason has written. However, I've had to modify what she says slightly because she wrote for class. It seems like it was more for a classroom or a parent that had only like 1 or 2 children that they could just focus all their attention on. Where in my life, I've had to deal with lots of different ages and stages all at the same time. And so it's kind of hard for me to follow her ideas verbatim. I've had to think of it in large family terms. Now, Susanna Wesley actually taught me a lot about how to do this, just reading about her life and how she handled things. And if you want to do a fascinating study, if you want to really be encouraged as the mom of many, a homeschool mom, because she totally homeschooled her kids. And she just was amazing. And if you read about how she did it, it'll really encourage you and it'll give you kind of a kick in the rear and help you think, man, I could be doing a little better, because she was the mother of 19. 9 of her children died in infancy, and so she only got to raise 10 to adulthood. But however, she understands everything about large family life, and she was always strapped for money, which you can understand. And her husband and she had little tiffs, and they were separated for a year, and she went through all kinds of stuff. But God taught her all kinds of things, and she stayed strong in the Lord. And I didn't even tell you who she was. Okay, Susanna Wesley was the mother of John and Charles Wesley, who were the 2 men that started the Methodist movement in the 1700s. And it was a great revival movement. The power of God was all over that thing. And so she was their mother. And the word Methodism, it was actually a slur at the time, but what it was a methodical way of becoming more godly, I guess, basically you would say. And her sons, John and Charles, learned about method at home when they were homeschooled by their mother. So see, homeschooling is a very powerful thing. Now, not all of her children, by the way, chose to live good lives or to follow these rules. Some of them had problems, but the potential was there that those that listened to her and followed the things that she taught them, they went out and they changed the world for God. So this is something that she wrote to her son. She said this: "Take this rule. Whatever weakens your reason, impairs the tenderness of your conscience, obscures your sense of God, or takes off your relish of spiritual things, in short, whatever increases the strength and authority of your body over your mind, that thing is sin to you, however innocent it may be in itself." So basically she was talking about self-discipline and staying away things that took you away from God. Interesting stuff. I haven't shown you my board, because this is going to help us. All right. Now, up here I have our subject, Charlotte Mason's habit. And the first thing we're going to talk about is, it's not you, it's me. You know, that old joke when you're dating someone and you say, we have problems, but we can't be together anymore, but it's not you, it's me. And when we're talking about disciplining our children, it's the truth. It's not our kids that aren't disciplined, it's us. We are not disciplined. And I'll tell you what, it's much easier to throw your kids over in the corner and do all the work and take care of everything than it is to train those children to do the things they need to do to get along in life. It's easier to do it for them, and then when they get older, they have no clue. But at least you've had an easy time of it. Seriously, people say, I know why you keep all those kids at home. It's because you want slaves. And I'm going, wow, if I wanted slaves, if I was that lazy, I would send my kids to school, because then they would be messing the house up all day and I would have the time to myself. And I could get whatever they do, I could get it done in just like an hour or 2. I'm not saying, please, there's not an implication that if you send your kids to school, you're lazy. Okay, take that away. But what you get the idea anyway. Yeah, I don't think you're that dumb to take that, are you? Okay, so that's what it is. When we start to train our children, then what we're realizing is the amazing amount of work it's going to take. If children don't have good habits, it's on us. You don't get a dog and then all of a sudden you just let it run around the yard. All of a sudden it knows how to sit up and all those kind of things and heel and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't happen automatically. You have to train a child. You have to just like you have to train a dog. Now I'm not comparing children with dogs, but you get the idea. It doesn't happen automatically. You have to work for it. They are born not knowing what to do. Okay? It is our job to train them. Okay? And this is a training that takes sacrifice on our part. And sometimes this kind of training is tedious and it's mundane, and so we avoid it because it interrupts our lives and we'd rather be doing something more interesting, okay? But if we can discipline ourselves to discipline them, then we will reap some wonderful, wonderful benefits. Okay, and not only that, we will have done our job before God. And so if they screw up, it's on them. And we can stand before God, because we won't be held accountable for what they do or not do as long as we have warned them and taught them. Do you understand? This is something that is in the Bible in Ezekiel chapter 3 and 33, where God says, if he doesn't want to judge anyone. But if he does, and you didn't warn him, then that's on you. But if you warn them, then it's not on you. So that's a biblical principle. So we have to take our job seriously enough to want to take the time to train our children and warn them of the consequences of not conquering themselves. Okay. Now, it takes consistent work. Okay. Now, then here we come to our second item today. Okay. I've touched about this already, that everything I know about Charlotte Mason habits, I learned from Susanna Wesley. And so we've talked about that a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read to you some of the habits that she formed with her own children. Here I'm going to read some of the list of 16 things that she required from her children. Okay. No eating between meals. All children in bed by 8 o'clock. Take your medicine without complaining. Subdue self-will in each child. Work with God to save the soul of each child. Teach the child to pray as soon as he can speak. Require all to be still during the family worship. Give children nothing they cry for. In other words, if they want something and they cry for it, automatically they don't get it. That will really keep crying down to a minimum, won't it? Give them only what they ask for politely. To prevent lying, punish no fault which is first confessed. Do not allow a sinful act to go unpunished. And this is hard. I know Johnny hits Jackie in the head and we're busy, okay? So we don't punish it. Okay? That's not justice. For one thing, that person thinks, hey, sometimes I can do it, sometimes I can't. I think I'll take the chance and bop them, okay? And so they don't really learn that justice is immediate and important. So what you have to do is, even if you can't, let's say your hands are really, really legitimately tied up, okay, then you've got to have some form of alternate correction that doesn't require you to be physically involved. And lots of times for me, it's like sitting against the wall, putting your nose in the corner. Now, if it's a little tiny child, you're just going to have to get physically involved no matter what, because they're not going to understand that. But it needs to be immediate, and it needs to be something that causes unpleasantness. Okay, whatever that is for you. All right. Okay. Command and reward good behavior. That's very important. That you expect them to have good behavior and then you reward them when they do have good behavior. Can't forget those rewards, those positive reinforcements. Preserve property rights even in the smallest matters. So we're talking about pencils, pens, scissors. She even talked about like a pin, Strictly observe all promises. Oh, this is hard sometimes, isn't it? Okay, kids, after this, we're going to do this. And then something happens, and so, Mom, you said we're going to do this. And, don't, what the general rule is, don't make a promise you don't know you can absolutely fulfill and that keeps you from breaking promises. Okay, require no daughter to work before she can read well. In other words, she's talking about back then, the work that daughters did mostly was sewing for the family, is what's brought up mostly here. And so before you required your daughter to sew all the time, make sure she can read well. Okay, teach children to fear the Lord. So that's extremely important. It's like one of the basic things. I mean, you have to read the word, you have to talk about it, you have to apply it to real life so they understand what that means, which is to live in awe of our God, understanding that He is our creator and our ultimate judge. And He's also the lover of our souls. Okay, that's the balance, but to teach them that. So those are the things that Susanna Wesley thought were important. Charlotte Mason had a different set of rules, and one of them was that you got the child's attention, complete attention, when they were doing school. And actually in here, she expected when they were, there's another list talked about how Susanna Wesley expected her children when they were doing their lessons not to interrupt themselves and do other things. Now, I know in this day and age, we have some kids that we got I think it's probably screens that do it to us, but we actually have kids that legitimately can't sit still for long periods of time. But one way you can help them to train themselves is give them periods where they actually can move and squirm and then sit back down. You can use the I forgot. Some Pomodoro method, where you spend 50 minutes in a concentrated activity and 10 minutes, messing around or something like that. You can work it out for your kids. 15 or 20 minutes at a time, sitting still, and then exercising, running around, go play some Legos, do something like that, and then come back for 15 minutes. And that way, what you're doing is you're setting them up for success and training them at small ages that they have to give complete attention. They have to get for at least 15 minutes. If you can train them to do 15 minutes and then slowly increase that as they grow up. That's the Charlotte Mason idea, and I think it's perfect because little kids can be taught to sit still for 15 minutes. And then you gradually, as they in 2 or 3 years, now it's 20 minutes, now we're looking at a half an hour, and then an hour, and then 2 hours, and then by the time they're older, they're used to paying attention and concentrating for a certain amount of time without feeling as though they need to distract themselves and go do something else for a while. It takes work to do that, but once you do that, then a lot of your homeschooling is going to be automated because you don't have to worry that Tommy is going to start his work and then get distracted over here and go over there, and then by the time your school time is up, he hasn't gotten anything accomplished. So that's kind of chasing your tail all day long. That's kind of ruining your life. So take the time to do this. Take the time to train in those habits. Okay, another way that you can do this, now we're going to go to our third point, and that is create a method and keep it simple. You have to create methods, clear methods, specific methods that your children can follow. Even if you're not there to remind them, they have something that they can hang on to. But you've got to narrow everything down first. You've got to decide, what are these things that I want to train my children to do? And how can I narrow all those down so that it's not so complicated every day? Now, we talked about SOPs. When it comes to homeschooling, I like to use SOPs for myself, but you can also develop an SOP for your kids, and I think I've touched on that too. And SOPs don't only have to do with homeschooling. They can also deal with the morning routine. Now, morning routines can be so important in a large family life. I mean, if you don't have a good morning, you're probably going to be crazy the rest of the day. Am I right? And you got to keep a lid on that by starting off on a good footing. And one of the ways to do it is to sit down and think, what are the important things that my kids need to learn every day to do for themselves? Okay, in there is personal hygiene, brushing your teeth, washing your face, combing your hair, and having clean clothes on. Those are very basic, important things, but you know what? They can be skipped when you're at home, because when you homeschool, it doesn't really matter. You're not going any place, who cares? But you have to train your kids to do that every day, because they're not going to be home the rest of their lives. And another thing you have to teach them is how to take care of the house and how to clean things and prepare things so that other people can enjoy the life that you have at home together. And if you have pets, you have to be willing to take care of them every day. And, prayer and reading the Word for themselves is something that would be really good to train in them. Oh, it's hard because you don't want to make it just a rote thing, but, if it's a habit and they decide not to do it in their lives, that's their business. But if they've got the habit, maybe it'll keep in them, and even when you leave your home, they're still going to do it. Okay. And then you have the connecting with people, because I know that there are different types of people. Some of us, it's just natural to want to be around people and hug them and be with them and everything. And then for others of us, we're really task-oriented. And so if you can train a task-oriented person to put relationships as a priority in their life when they're little and they're in your home, they won't struggle as much as they get older, and teach them a method of how to do that. So that's what you need to do next. Sit down and make some lists, but make sure the lists are compacted and they're not too complicated, because your kids are going to be able to follow them more easily if you just go like that and make it easy for them to follow. Okay, so now we're going to item number 4. All right, give it form. Songs, words, and phrases. In other words, when you've got this method that you're creating, give it some form. One of the things I like to do is to assign each part of the method a letter, and then use those letters to jog their memory as to what they're supposed to be doing next. This is especially helpful when kids are young, but it helps older kids too, and they might even like the idea that if they have these letters in their mind, and it's really good if they actually make a word in themselves, which I didn't do this. But anyway, we've come up with this method. We moved, and so everything changed, right? And so we had to come up with new things. And sometimes it's good to come up with new things every once in a while, just because it changes things up and people have to pay attention again. But this is something that I've come up with recently, and it's helped the kids tremendously. If you can see these cards, these are index cards. They're the colored kind with the lines on one side. And I just hand lettered an H, a B, a J, and an S. Now, these each stand for something, okay? And it's going to be very generalized, so I don't know if this will work for you, but it's really working for us. The H stands for hugs. Now, these hugs cover a lot of stuff. First off, it's connecting with the Lord and thanking Him and getting a hug. I say, don't forget to get your hug for Jesus, or get your hug from Jesus. Lord, I need your hug today. So for little kids especially, H stands for hugs, and also hugs with each other. Come and hug mom, hug your daddy, hug your brothers and sisters. Just get hugs in there. And sometimes you have to do this because some kids are so affectionate. If you don't have the H in there to begin with, you're going to have a really hard day. So hugs are important. We put hugs in there. And then the next one is B. B stands for body. Body has everything to do with their body. Like when they clean themselves, and they brush their teeth, and they're eating breakfast, and they're making sure they drink water. So those are all things included in body. So body is personal hygiene, eating, and drinking, basically. So body covers a lot of stuff, but the B makes it really easy to remember. Then the next one is J. That stands for jobs. And the jobs they have every morning before they start their school. And basically it's like helping the kitchen, sweeping the floors, if they have to switch laundry, if they take out trash, making sure their bed's made and the bathroom's clean. These are all jobs that they have to do. And the last one is school. So what this does for us is, if I already have made assignments for them and they know what they are, as long as they've got their hugs, their body, and their job's done, they can go straight to school and start that. The reason I do this is because some kids want to go straight to school from waking up in the morning. Before they've washed their face, brushed their teeth, combed their hair, before they've eaten anything, before they've talked to anybody, they're going straight to school, which could be amazing, except that I'm not really teaching them how you should do things in life. I'm letting them do whatever they want, and that isn't necessarily efficient. So we do this last. So you can take something like this and put it like on a bulletin board, on your refrigerator or something like that, and you can say, okay, what do we do? H, B, J, S. What are you on? Oh, I'm on H. Oh, you better get to your B and your J, you know, like that. And so, and then if they're wandering around aimlessly, you can say, okay, honey, what do we do every morning? Oh, I remember H, B, J, S. Okay, so where are we at? Where are you at? I'm on J. Okay, we'll get it done. Come on, come on. You know, cheer them on. Because it's really like my oldest daughter called it when she was little. It's really a kids team. And so we're always cheering. It's kids team. So anyway, so that's what these are for. And that's so that you can get them into something. Now, another thing we do is we use music. Now, you can have for little kids or kids that are easily distracted, or if you don't like screaming or whatever, you can use music to give your kids cues as to what you're doing next. If you want everybody to do everything, the same thing at the same time, which is kind of like what I call the herding principle, and it can save your mind. And so what you do is you can say, okay, when I play this song, that means that we're doing hugs. And so everybody does hugs. They do a hug for Jesus, and they get hugs from Jesus. They're praying and they're reading their Bible verse or whatever. And then say, okay, now when I do this song, that means that we're going to take care of our bodies. And so then everybody's, you know, they're in the bathroom or they're eating their breakfast or whatever. And that's the body part. And you say, now when we do this song, that means that it's time to do our jobs. And so the song says, okay, time to do our jobs. You know, after a while, if you continue doing this, then whenever they hear that song, they're going to automatically think, oh, it's time to do body, it's time to do jobs. They're going to automatically associate everything they do with that song, and it's going to help you to build a habit in them. They're going to be like an automatic habit that they know they're supposed to do X, Y, or Z during this time. Now, another thing you can do is to use a song that has your method in it, so that while you are going through your day, someone's getting in the freezer, so that while you are going through your day, while you are going through your routine, if you all sing a song together, that keeps everybody on track, thinking what's first, what's second, what's third. So one thing we have done is, I heard this song on Groundhog Day. Okay, I know it's a stupid movie, but this song was on there, and it's a polka song. And so I adapted it, and I put some of our own words there. So it's what we sing is, pick up and clean up and tidy the floor, boom, 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 boom. That is the Hayes House polka. So we sing that, pick up and clean up. So we're always singing, you know, while we're cleaning, and it kind of gets, so you could use a song like that and along this line, but not quite the same. We also sing the Help Me Rhonda by the Beach Boys. We sing it, help your mama, help your mama. Anyway, sing so they said, yeah, that's funny. Help your mama, yeah, help her clean the house. So we do that one when they're little, like that. And we have other songs that we sing, and they're kind of catchy, and they get all the little kids motivated, and we're singing. So anyway, but that's kind of an aside a little bit. So that's something we do, and now we're ready for item number 5. Now, number 5 is check in, remind, and reward. You can have the best system. You can have it like nailed down. You can do professional graphics. You can have everything printed out. You can have the charts. You can have everything. And if you don't check in and see if it's done, it's going to crash and burn. If you don't remind your children of the charts, then it will never be effective, because the greatest element of teaching your children habit is your involvement. You can't do it any other way. It's just not going to work. You can't turn on a video and say, the video will tell you what to do next. You know, people can ignore videos pretty easily. I go to sleep regularly to TV. So, you know, it has to be you. You have to be the physical person that's helping them move forward. So also, rewards can be really great motivators, especially at first. Now, some of these habits will just become so ingrained that you won't have to worry about motivating them with rewards. But sometimes it can help at first, Like, okay, if you have 5 straight days of brushing your teeth every morning, then guess what? You're getting a new toothbrush. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything like high dollar item or something like that. But, it can be just something a little special that says it's a token. It's not supposed to be, huge. To say, this shows that, yes, I recognize that you did what I asked you, and you trained yourself. So yeah, you can have a new toothbrush. You know what I'm saying? Or let's say that, guys, if we can stay in these habits for 5 days, then on Saturday we can have a cartoon morning and everybody can stay in their jammies. What often happens is that morning when you let them sleep in and be in their jammies and watch cartoons, they go, I hate this, because they like the order. They go like, oh, I feel kind of gross and awful. So they really do like the order. Believe it or not, kids crave that. You'll find that people crave, like, routine. They do, especially young men. So even though they might fight you tooth and nail and you feel like you're just having this constant struggle for a while, after a while, if you have a day or two where you don't have that routine, they will be craving for it because it gives them great feelings of security and helps them. A lot of people, they don't really know what to do with themselves. I think a lot of adults are that way. And sometimes a person doesn't do as well without structure, and they just thrive with structure. It depends on the person, but some of us are creatives and we want to do our own thing every day. We can always think of something to do, but then we need someone to say there are limits. But anyway, that's a whole nother video series, isn't it? So I hope this helps you. You have a wonderful time training your kids, and you're going to be so blessed for it. Bye-bye.